It is not even to force himself into white restaurants when it is not wanted. It seems to me that has any aim at all. The aim is to liberate this country. And I mean, when I say this country, I mean both blacks and whites.
Mr. Baldwin, now you confuse me. One can have two aims in life if one is a Negro. One can be to integrate white and black society and make it one society. The other can be to create two separate societies, one all white and one all black. If I understand Mr. Lincoln's scholarly study of the black Muslim movement, it is for the division into an all-white and all-black society.
I would like to say that another thing that the Muslim movement stands for, and with which I'm in complete agreement, is the greater interest in the Negroes acquiring an economic stake in this civilization. Also, in the fine work of rehabilitation they've done in some of their young members who had been juvenile delinquents and criminals, and they've come out, and by virtue of the teaching they received, they've changed their way of life. Now, that's been done by other movements. The Muslim movement has no monopoly on it, but they have done it, and you have to give credit for that. And,
so there is this economic problem.
Yes, and there's also the problem of...
Pardon me, Mr. Scholar, but to clarify the economic program, would you add whether you believe that the black Muslim movement wants the economic uplift of the Negro or wants two separate economies?
Well, I don't know. They may want two separate economies, but they are interested in economic uplift of the Negro, and I think that they deserve great credit for that.
Mr. Lincoln, would you answer that question, please, so we can get it clear?
My experience has been, talking with the Muslim leaders about the country, that perhaps the separate economy for which the Muslims seem to be working is a means to an end. Whether the ultimate end is a reintegrated society, I doubt rather much. But nevertheless, the Muslims seem to feel that in our social structure as it now stands, that it is highly unlikely, if not altogether impossible, for them to have any real economic gains. Therefore, as I interpret the movement, they prefer to withdraw from a society in which they cannot move upward, to establish a society of their own in which there will be black men at all levels. And then, as I understand the movement, to enter into the same kind of political negotiations with the United States as exists between various other states at the present time.
As separate entities?
Yes, as separate entities, yes.
What about this issue of force, which we've got to get out here? One of the most discussed things about the black Muslim movement is the frequent charge that it is going to resort to force because it believes in black supremacy. And Mr. Malcom, Mr. X, you are always quoted as having said, there is no white man a Muslim can trust. Mr. Muhammad is always quoted as having said, we must take things into our own hands. We must return to the Mosaic law of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. What does it matter if 10 million of us die? There will be 7 million of us left, and they will enjoy justice and freedom, etc., etc. It sounds like the language of force, is it?
Before you ask me to clarify that, I wish you would allow me to comment on Mr. Lincoln's last statement concerning the separate economy.
Go right ahead.
Although, as you say, he studied it, by me being a Muslim myself, I think I can make it more clear than the scholar.
Some of us scholars doubt that proposition, Mr. X.
Yes, well, I don't doubt that myself.
Yeah.
I think you'll agree with me, though, sir, that a separate economy already exists between the so-called Negro and the white man in America. Because there is a certain category in which black people can get jobs and a certain category in which they can't get jobs. The economies are already separate. There's only so high that they can go in various business fields. Some business fields are shut out to them completely. Even when a black man goes into business and he is in the selling business, usually if he has a successful business, he's only every sale he makes is a resale, because in order to have a commodity or goods to sell, he has to buy it from a white man, another white man. And which means that no matter how large his store is, still all of the goods that are being sold are being sold actually for the white man, because the black man who's in business is not a producer. He doesn't produce that which he sells. Now, we who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are taught that the black man, even though he goes into business, will still be a dependent person economically, because he must produce. As long as the white man is the producer, then the white man is setting the price for the goods that the black man has to sell in his own neighborhood. Usually, when a black man goes into business, he doesn't go into business in a white neighborhood, he goes into business in a black neighborhood. And since he can only buy his goods from a wholesaler who is white, who gets it from the producer who is also white, he has to come back into his neighborhood and jack the prices up to get back the money from that the white man has already taken away from him.
This is your explanation.
I'm explaining it clear so that it won't be misunderstood. So Mr. Muhammad teaches us that in order for us to be economically independent, we have to have some land where we can set up our own factories and be producers, just like the white man is a producer for his kind.
Mr. Scholar, you seem unhappy.
Well, of course I'm unhappy because I want to get back to the field of reality. There's something like 200,000 Negro individual farmers in the United States. They raise cotton, corn, they sell milk, and all of that, but they're selling it to white people, and white people would be very hard put if they didn't have this cotton and corn and the meat and other things that Negro farmers raise to buy from them. And so it seems to me that it's inherent in trade that you buy and sell. Nobody's stopping the Negroes from either buying or selling in the United States. Many of them are doing it all the time. And I think it's a perversion of the fact to say that Negro had no part in the economy. That's ridiculous. There must have some part in it, with 1,500,000 of them in labor unions throughout the country, and some of them in the highest categories that I know of. Would be too long to list here. Now, if Negroes have been able to devise ways and means of getting more of these jobs, that is partially their own fault.
But, sir, even though they're in these labor unions, they're yet the last one's hired and the first one's fired.
Not necessarily.
And the greater percentage of the unemployed right now here in America, according to Secretary Goldberg's statement, are the so-called Negroes, despite the fact that they belong to these unions and whatnot.
That isn't entirely due to the fact that they're Negroes.
I think there's something extremely misleading in trying to talk about the economy this way. In fact, as far as I can tell, the black economy and the white economy are interdependent. And it's quite true that Negroes are the first to be fired and the last to be hired. This is, however, is nothing. These details are obscuring the point at the moment. My question here is, how? I think we take it for granted that the United States is not about to give away 6 or 10 states. Therefore, in one way or another, the only way this will be achieved is that they will not be able to hold on to them. Now, the question is, what happens then to this economy, which Negroes have, I think you say, $20 million or $20 billion at their disposal? This will no longer be so if the system under which this obtains no longer exists, which is the only way these states can be achieved. Then what will the economy be? What will be the future of these hypothetical states? What will be their relationship not only to the United States, because by this time, as far as we can tell, there won't be anything resembling the United States as we know it now. It will be at least another country. It will be a very different country, and obviously a much less powerful country.
It'll be a black America and a white America, won't it?
Well, it is already on this continent.
Well, pardon me, but there will be the blacks all in some states,
now,
whites all in others.
Now, if I can say one more thing, it seems to me this is somehow the hub for me, the root of the irreality here. The illusion of white people in this country is that they are living in a white country. I think that is a very dangerous illusion. You cannot have a white country with as many Negroes as we have had in it all these years to say nothing of the effect on white people and the interaction between white and black people of this terrible history. For one has got to really face the facts of what really happened. I know about the oppression, the lynchings, and so forth. That is only what I know about the situation now. I'm not trying to minimize this. But this is not all that happened. This is not all that happened. A great many other things happened, too. A great many other things were achieved, and whether or not, I'm not talking about white goodwill, but the point is that history is also immoral, just as immoral as power is. But what history has produced in terms of one's own personality and in terms of the Muslim movement, of being a hate movement, but I do realize, from my own vantage point, I'm a boy from Harlem too, how desperately and how deeply Negroes hate white people. Now, white people don't want to know this and have spent all of my lifetime anyway, protecting themselves against this knowledge.